What's up, fragrance family? It's your boy Neeb with Aromatics, and we're back with another episode. Guys, today is going to be something a little bit new. It's going to be a discovery series that I'm starting here on the channel, and this is going to be the first episode. I'm going to lay out the ground of this fragrance series and basically just explain what the purpose is, what we're going to do with this series, and go from there. What I have here today is a couple of fragrances from the brand Electimuss. We're going to basically introduce all of these fragrances that I have here, some including some samples, decants, some including some full bottles, but nonetheless, they're all first impressions. And so this will be an introduction video, and what this introduction will do was kind of just give you an idea of what the brand is, when the brand started, a little bit of background information, go through their collections, and just a little bit of information here and there, kind of break down everything that you need to know about the brand. Next thing we're gonna do is basically introduce these fragrances one by one and do an initial impression, maybe go over a little bit of notes. Basically, after all that's said and done, I'm going to spend an entire day at least with each of these fragrances, obviously, as much as the samples are permitting. These samples usually are big enough to give me at least 2 to 3 wearings, which is generally what I need to really dedicate myself to a fragrance and understand whether it's a fragrance I'll be interested in picking up, whether I think it's worthy of picking up. And then based off of that, you can make your own judgment and decide whether or not this is going to be something that you might be interested in yourself. So that's the purpose of this channel. I want to be able to promote sampling because this does get expensive. We've all bought some fragrances that we regretted and wasted hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And that's not what I want to promote here, guys. That's honestly part of the reason why I started this channel. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's discovery set. And today's discovery set is not a full one, unfortunately, only covering 4 fragrances, guys. Now, let's start off with the brand Electimuss. So it's a niche brand in London that was driven by the creative forces behind Oster the Victorious, and also the brand Tamine. This brand started in 2015. However, they started a collaboration with those other 2 brands relatively recently in 2020. So it's only been 2 years. And the other creators that they collaborated with, certain perfumers, John Steven, Olivier Moir, and Christian Provenzano. When you go on to Electimuss's website, you'll see that they have a couple of different selections or families of fragrances. And what these families basically are is just a breakdown of their fragrances by definition. So for instance, we have an Eternal line, we have a Neural line, we have the Consort line, Lustrous line, and the Emperor line. And each one of these lines has their own definition. For instance, the Eternal line is a broad range. It's basically just intense, individual, and intoxicating is the way they explain it. And a couple of fragrances that are from that line include Imperium, which we have here today in the full bottle size. We'll get into the presentation. And then there's another fragrance that actually caught my attention. It's been getting a lot of comparisons to MFK's Baccarat Rouge 540. However, it does things a little bit differently with some blood orange. The next line is their Neural line. And basically this one is labeled as decadent and artfully constructed. I really wanted to get my hands on Somanus, and it's basically a fragrance that's like amber, rose, cardamom, and ginger with some orange and pine. Unfortunately, it wasn't included with this package, but maybe in the near future we'll go ahead and pull the trigger on that sample. The next line would be the Consort line, basically considered a collaboration or creative collaboration line, and it just basically takes modern world perfumery and blends it with ancient Roman perfumery. And so that's the theme here with all of these fragrances, is it's kind of going back to ancient Roman styled fragrances. And then we have the Lustrous line, and the Lustrous line started in 2020 by Christian, and it was inspired by Roman's obsession with the heavens. So I guess you can kind of classify them as heavenly fragrances. They emphasize around florals, ambers, and incense and stuff like that. The last line they have is the Emperor line. So it's unique and the rarest and finest ingredients. And some of these fragrances include using notes like oud, some like very hard to find ouds. And there's a couple of fragrances that I wanted to check out, which is Octavian and also the Aquilaria. And Aquilaria or Amber Aquilaria. Amber Aquilaria is boozy, it's got oud, it's got all kinds of crazy notes. If any of this interests you, definitely check them out, see their selection. But for today, 4 fragrances we're gonna go over, starting with Electimuss Imperium. We have Patchouli of the underworld. We've also got Persephone's Patchouli, and lastly, Oster. Persephone's Patchouli and Patchouli of the underworld is a part of the consort line. And so basically what it does is it focuses on that one note of Patchouli, just done in two lenses. The Imperium that I have here as well is a part of the Eternal line. So that intense, individual, intoxicating line. Now, first thing we're gonna do is take a look at the box and the presentation. If I had the sample pack, guys, I'd be presenting to you the sample pack, but this is the actual full bottle size box. Honestly, nothing crazy. It's just a plain box with some decorations on the side. And then on the back, we have that huge sticker. And that's about it. So, not too overwhelming, but what matters is the juice. And so you open the box like so. And here rests the fragrance. This is a very nice, majestic, regal looking bottle, guys. Take a look at this. And it is one of the heftiest, if not the heftiest bottle in my collection. This sucker is probably a good 7.5 pounds. Look at that thick, thick glass. Here's the front of the bottle. We see that Electimuss. You got the name of the fragrance on the plaque here. So you should see Imperium. Super thick bottles, guys. Very nice bottles. And then we have the decoration on the bottom. And on the top, we've got some engravings right there, as you can see. So the cap actually snaps into place very snugly. So this is not going anywhere. You can kind of already see some similarities to Boadicea the Victorious designs a little bit there on the cap, along with some of that, you know, etching out in the glass. And so as far as Imperium goes, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put the notes on the screen, and we're gonna do a first time sniffing. Okay, so you can see that we have bergamot, coriander in the opening, saffron, rose, amber, musk, gaiac wood, patchouli, all that good stuff, all right? So believe it or not, guys, this actually gets compared to Creed Aventus. And whether or not I think that it deserves that comparison, we'll talk about right now. Here we go. Oh, check that out, guys. Pressurized all the way through. So it just keeps spraying as long as you're pushing. Let's see. See, that was a half spray. Insane. Absolute quality in these bottles. Wow, this is super, super good. Very citrusy in the opening. I don't really pick up much coriander. Bergamot, bomb for sure. So sexy and creamy right off of the top. Fruity, sexy, creamy. Soon as I got it on the tester strip, and it's radiating everywhere. I mean, it doesn't help that I sprayed it like 4 times, but very, very sexy. Wow, very classy. You have some of those citruses. They're not too sharp. They're balanced with a creaminess. Pick up some neroli here. Just a little bit of tuberose, nothing too crazy. There is rose listed here, but the rose is such high quality rose that you're not gonna pick up any stinky old granny rose at all. Oh my God, this is absolute class. I can see the Creed Aventus DNA though. I can see the Creed Aventus comparisons, guys, but it's not necessarily a clone or anything like that. This deserves its own spot, you know, maybe just in the opening, just a little bit, kind of give me some resemblances to that just pineapple birch. But as you can see, there is no pineapple and there is no birch. But as it dries down, it actually starts to veer away from that similar Creed Aventus feeling. Very sexy. Very sexy. Gaiac wood is coming through. Vanilla, it's creamy. So I definitely get bergamot. I picked up some neroli, but then I get a lot of that musk, vanilla, maybe hints of coriander. I did definitely pick up something spicy. And that's about it. Gaiac wood. There is no oud. You would see oud here and you'd probably be like, oh no, I'll stay away and blah, blah, blah. But no, no oud here, guys. But so far, very sexy fragrance. And this is like a utility belt sort of fragrance. It's just like I think it's appropriate for everywhere, every time, all year. Really good. I don't know if I would necessarily wear this in the wintertime because it's very fresh. It's very fresh, slightly sweet, musky, creamy. I would have expected something of sandalwood, but I guess that creaminess is coming from the amber and musk. Very sexy fragrance, guys. So that's my first impressions on Imperium. Very, very satisfied. Did give me some resemblances to Creed Aventus. I know a lot of people are pretty burnt out on that Creed Aventus DNA, but nonetheless, solid pickup. I don't regret this one. Some familiarities, but nothing crazy. Next fragrance we're going to talk about, guys. I was actually very excited to pick this one up. And this is from that Consort line. And this is Patchouli of the Underworld. Just something about the name just made me really, really interested in this. And so this is a darker fragrance, and it actually comes with perfumer's notes on the website. So the idea, this is per the perfumer, the idea was to build a black patchouli with a furry texture, as black as the panther. Okay, cool. So do we get a furry patchouli? We'll see. So the perfumer is Kevin Mathis, or Mathis. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it or sabotaging it. But I'm also going to put the notes here on the screen, and you're going to see at the top we have notes like cistus, carnation. I'm not crazy on carnation notes. I feel like it gives fragrances some old school vibes. And then we have labdanum, styrax, castoreum. I'm not crazy about the carnation, but castoreum, I'm not that scared of castoreum though, guys. Castoreum actually does some fragrances justice, and it actually does a really good thing in a lot of fragrances that I actually really love. And so let's see what we get here, guys. So patchouli, leather, carnation. The patchouli is in the heart. Styrax, we have some resinous notes, leathery notes like labdanum, mandarin at the top, some peppers. Let's see what we get, okay? This is the first impressions of Patchouli of the Underworld. Here we go. Same pressurized atomizer. Take a look, guys. That's insane. All right. Oh. I did not get anything animalic in the opening, guys. I got a soapy feeling in the opening, but it's not overdone. I usually don't enjoy really soapy fragrances, so this doesn't give me anything like, you know, I got slight hints of like lily of the valley, but there is none. But it's gone quickly. And I'm starting to get the pink pepper and black pepper, and I think that's the cistus, to be honest, giving that soapiness. Or maybe the cistus with the carnation did that, but it's almost gone. It's only been like two minutes of the fragrance, so I'd imagine this is going to dry down to something beautiful. Just because it's very resinous. That styrax, I can sense it in the background. Super resinous, something like a myrrh, you know, very, very dense. I did get the peppers. I didn't really pick up too much mandarin. It was just like maybe a soapy type of citrus, but maybe I was so focused on that soapy note that I didn't really pay much attention to the mandarin. Patchouli 100% is there, and leather is there now, at least. Wow, that was crazy, guys. That actually just took me on like a little loop. So I kind of need to open it again just to see if I can pick up the other notes that I wasn't focusing on. So let's try this again. Here we go. I'm obsessed with that sprayer. Okay, I definitely got the mandarin this time. Definitely got the mandarin this time. It's so crazy how many notes, and when you just focus on one thing, you can just absolutely miss it. I get it. I get the leather a little bit more now that I'm focusing on other notes, leaving alone that castoreum and cistus. Black pepper 100% is there. I think the black pepper is way more prominent than the pink pepper here. Styrax isn't building up yet, but I can feel it getting warmer. I have to remind myself that this is a first impression. First impression. I'm kind of excited to try this one. I'm not crazy about patchouli fragrances or too animalic. I'm not gonna lie, I do like some animalic fragrances, guys. But this doesn't really strike me as a dark, dirty patchouli. It's kind of misleading when you see cistus and castoreum. But no, this is actually really good. I'm definitely gonna get some wearings out of this. I'm excited to try this one on skin and see what this gives me when I actually wear it. Okay, so that was Patchouli of the Underworld. As you can see, there's a different coloration in the bottle, and I think this one is sexy. Take a look at that. Patchouli of the Underworld written there. Same thing with the cap. Haven't shown you guys the top, but there's nothing really there. That atomizer is insane. Insane. Okay, so now we're down to the last two, and these are samples. And I purchased these from fleekfellows.com, and the other one I got from Max Aroma. The one that I purchased from fleekfellows.com actually included these two samples. So figured, hey, you know what? Let me check it out. And so the two samples are Persephone's Patchouli and Oster. So let's start off with Persephone's Patchouli. I know that a lot of people really like that Oster fragrance, and I'm actually quite excited to try it out. Let's see what Persephone's Patchouli is. So what it says per perfumer's note, first off, the perfumer is Christian Provenzano, and what he said is he used the patchouli as well, and it's a cleaner patchouli note enriched with musky and ambery textures. And then he talks about what he added at the top and how he combined the patchouli with rose and then enhanced the rose with some plum. Okay, cool. So there's some plum in here. Awesome. I love plum notes. And then he added some honey and coffee. Wow, okay. This is sounding promising. I'm gonna put the notes on the screen here, and you can see cardamom, plum, pomegranate seeds. That's unusual. Cool. Jasmine from Egypt, some rose, honey, sandalwood, cedar, ambergris. This actually sounds like more of my speed. So this is what that sample looks like. It's like a little rod inside some fragrance. And what I'm gonna do is just take it out here because I want to get some wearings on this so I can properly, judge this. And I'm just going to dab a little bit of it on the strip. And let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I got a good amount here, and let's give it a sniff. Rose is very prominent, and it's a very classy rose. It's a clean rose. It's not, like I said, the granny thing. I get a little bit of cardamom, nothing too crazy. I don't really sense any plum. Kind of strange. I mean, okay, now that I think about it, I can sense some plum, but it's not a sweet plum. It's almost like a ripe plum, almost just bitter almost plum. Not in a bad way. It's not a sweet plum. It's more of a bitter plum for sure. Definitely picking up more rose than anything. I am getting some earthiness from the patchouli, but because of the concentration of rose here, I feel like that earthiness is just making it feel like almost like you're sniffing a rose with the stem still attached because of that added greenness from the patchouli. However, the cardamom was barely there, but I sensed a little bit of it. Ordinary plum, nothing crazy. It's more of a fresh, realistic plum. So it's not a plum like you'll find in 1 Million Lucky, sweet, bubblegummy, anything like that. Not too much sandalwood, not too much honey. I sense honey. In the dry down, the most thing that I get is probably cedar and honey. Cedar more so than the honey, and I can sense that there is that cedar because of the added green facets that this fragrance gives that rose. So it's almost like this is a rose-centered fragrance more than it is a patchouli. Because this fragrance really captures a realistic rose note, and the quality of that rose just almost overcomes the patchouli in my opinion. But it's there, but you'll sense it as more as, like I said, that stem more than anything. Honey is barely there. You can almost sense like a sweetness a little bit in the background, and I think that's the honey note. But that's all I'm gonna do with this one for now. I think this also deserves a proper wearing, and that's what we'll do with this fragrance as well. So Persephone's Patchouli, so far I'm on the fence about it. Nothing crazy, it didn't blow my mind at all. So let's go to the next fragrance, which is Oster. I heard a lot of good things about Oster. I know that Ross at TLTG Reviews actually wears this fragrance quite often, and so I'm excited to get my nose on it. This is a fragrance that was composed by John Stephen, and so let's see if there are any notes. There aren't really any notes from the perfumer himself. However, it says that Oster, the god of the south winds and the embodiment of the hot Sirocco winds, brings wonderful winds and storms from Africa into Southern Europe. Okay, cool. So what we got are these notes that I'm gonna place on the screen, and there's actually not many notes in this one. We see star anise, lemon, sweet geranium, clove, cedar, musk, sandalwood, ambergris, and patchouli. So far, the notes seem promising. I love anise. I love star anise. Sweet geranium sounds cool. I love clove. musk, sandalwood, patchouli. Okay, so something creamy, I'm hoping. And here we go. Let's put this dabber right on this freaking strip here. And let's see what we get, guys. All right, this is a little bit difficult, but I really hate when they give these samples in dabbers. I wish they would just give them all in sprayers. Here we go. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Different. Different. I'll start off by saying, with all of these, niche don't lie. When you get your nose on a niche fragrance, you can absolutely tell the quality of all of the notes, all the ingredients. And that's the first thing that I got when I smelt this. There is definitely a lemon in the opening, but the lemon is almost wrapped up in the star anise. So it's sitting behind the star anise. And I do pick up some clove. It's not as prominent right now. Geranium greenness is there, but it is sweeter than the normal geranium. So obviously we have that sweetness. There's something... I'm picking up the ambergris. That's what it is. I wanted to say there's something sharp, but it's not sharp. Because when I use the word sharp, it might make the viewers think that it's synthetic. No. It's amplified. It's just very in your face. That's what I mean. And that's what I attribute to the ambergris. But so far, lemon and star anise are the star players right now. And I'm picking up musk. I definitely am picking up musk. It's not so much like it's in between. It's nothing animalic, that's for sure. It's a buffer, for sure. Geranium, I'm picking a lot more geranium now. I saw that this one gets compared to Boadicea, the Victorious Blue Sapphire. How true that is, I'm not sure. However, I am picking up that spicy licorice, but it's a little bit more spicier than the normal licorice spice. And that's why I'm thinking it's that ambergris, because the ambergris gives it that amplification, a little bit more of a freshness. Lemon is there as well. The lemon is good quality. I wouldn't necessarily say that the lemon is coming or that the sharpness is coming from the lemon. I would just say that it's slightly coming from the ambergris. But I feel like this will perform. This kind of has an old school vibe to it without being too old manish. It's still a very classy fragrance and it's still pretty modern. But nonetheless, I think that this one deserves a wear as well. As far as this goes for now, this definitely has captured my attention a lot more than Persephone's Patchouli. But so far, I'm actually pretty happy with my selections, guys. Imperium was, right away, I knew I liked Imperium. Patchouli of the Underground, right away I knew I would probably grow to like it. As far as Persephone's Patchouli, it just really smells like another rose fragrance. But the thing I'll give Oster is that I can't say it's just another. I still haven't really pinpointed it. This one is more thought-evoking than Persephone's Patchouli, for sure. So it's different. So far, I'm liking it. Is it my favorite right now? No, not really. But this could change. And so basically, guys, this sums up my Discovery Series episode number 1. And so what I'm gonna do from here on out is give each of these fragrances a full 1 to 3 day wearings, just until I finally determine whether or not I think that these fragrances are worth checking out, whether I think this is something that I'm gonna wear, I'm gonna enjoy, if I think it's worth it, and just share my opinions and thoughts with you guys. You know, we'll talk about the longevity and all that good stuff, because those are all factors that are gonna play into whether or not I decide to purchase more fragrances. They have a lot of new fragrances coming out, and so I definitely wanna pick up a full sample set from them again, so I can try some of those other fragrances that come from the Lustrous line and all that good stuff. But for now, this will do it. Thank you guys so much for staying tuned. If you guys are enjoying these videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I hope you enjoyed watching this video half as much as I did making it for you guys. And as always, love ya.